Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Full Quota Podcast. My name is Mpho and I've got Tim Delace here with me. Tim, how are you doing?
All good, mate. Regarding all the various news, I had 2 or 3 monologues on the go, and all the various news has completely put my all to bed. So they've become null and void, but it's all good.
Okay, cool. So we're your South African cricket podcast that talks all things South African cricket. You can find us on X at Full Quota Pods. You can subscribe to the Full Quota Podcast on YouTube, as well as the Full Quota Podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify for you audio fiends like myself. That community is growing. And also you can buy some coffee. Please do. Helps us keep going at buymeacoffee.com/Full Quota Podcast. It's been a interesting week. Very, very interesting. Lots to talk about. But I think let's start with the Proteas Men who take another step towards the World Test Championship. Shukri Conrad said this was a quarterfinal. The idea was you needed to hopefully win both test matches, but most importantly, the one in Durban was the one with all the hoodoos. It had all the drama. Sri Lanka had beaten us there before. South Africa don't play well in Durban. There was no crowd in Durban, and there never is. And so the question is, why are you sending it to a place there? It takes you away from your strength, which is fast bowling. But again, they needed 4 out of, they needed 3 wins out of the last 4 to give them a chance at that final. Now they need 2 out of 3. Why? Because they managed to beat Sri Lanka in Durban, a mammoth win of 233 runs, and it had lots of drama. It had us in all suspense, Tim. But being bowled out for 191, being in trouble for not much of for 100. Well, 120 for 7 at one point, and then bowling Sri Lanka out for 42, and then Timber and Tristan giving us a show of note, and Tristan repaying the faith in Shukri as making him his test number 3 when everyone thought he was more of an expansive. And then the bowlers wrapped it up. They didn't have to do much. There was a little bit of a fight back, but Sri Lanka were going to do that. And now we look to Gqeberha, 1-0 up. There's no chance of us losing this test series. The minimum you need is a draw to kind of take you through into that next phase. Then you just need to beat Pakistan 2-0, which also is quite tough. But on the Highveld and in Cape Town, I think we can do that. But anyway, Tim, what did you make of that game?
Well, I said a couple of weeks ago in our preview, I said 120 for 4. I said that I was worried about that. And look what happened. Look, I can't look beyond the 42 all out. This test match will always be known as the test match where Sri Lanka just did not answer the call. They came here with a lot of reputation. They came here with an unbeaten record at Durban. They came here with a lot of experience. They came here with, I think, a very strong team on paper. And they didn't deliver. They didn't deliver. On the flip side, everything Shukri touches at the moment is going to gold. Everything. Tristan Stubbs in a 3 gold. Typical performer comes straight in after after no cricket, after a long layoff, bangs in the runs. Virat Mulder does what he needs to do. Before he gets
Marco Jansen after strength and conditioning.
Marco Jansen after strength and conditioning reaches the height that we know that he can reach, and shows just what a class bowler he is. So everything that Shukri is doing at the moment is working out. The pessimism in me says it's going to run out at some point. Just hopefully not the next 3 test matches. That's all I'm asking for. But look, everything's worked out perfectly. It's just what we wanted. We wanted a convincing win. I think that's what we wanted. We wanted a convincing win. Put Durban versus Sri Lanka to bed. I think we answered all those questions. I don't think there's anything that we could have done better from that test match performance.
Look, yeah, and I think if you look at that Durban strip, that pitch was near perfect. Evan Flint did an incredible job. That was one of the best batting wickets we've seen in South Africa in a while. And it had everything, right? The thing about South Africa is there'll always be bounce. And that's what gets people, right? And to a certain extent, that's what gets subcontinental teams, right? So initially, our guys, they really did struggle, largely because of overhead conditions and the ball moving around and the ball doing everything. And the one thing I'll say about Shukri's character monsters is that, my word, they really don't know how to defend. They really struggle at basic defense outside of Tim and Bavuma, because I think he's the most adept from a technical perspective. Everyone else, those character monsters, geez, if the conditions are working for the bowlers, you'll find yourself in trouble. But that's the only bad thing about that test match. You look at 42 not out. The ball wasn't swinging much on that day. It was just largely them being beaten on bounce, and also being beaten by the angle that Marco Jansen was coming in at. He's been trying to push the ball away from the into the left-hander, right? So away from the right hand, and he just had them all sorts. Whereas previously, and maybe that was the scouting report, right? Previously, he was trying to get the ball to go across the left-hander and cut into the right hand. This time, he was literally just pushing it across, and it worked. Some sort of a bluff from him, but yeah, somehow it worked, and he took 11 wickets. And if this is the version of Marco Jansen we can get, I'm very happy. The great thing is I loved about the balance of the side was Marco was batting at 8 as an opening bowler for us, which he should be, right? But he's got a test match half century, which works. And you had Vian Mulder at 7, and you had 2 all-rounders. The only thing about this team was that we never got to see that Vian Mulder, and I hope for Pakistan he's there, because I think it adds more balance to the side. And then Kagiso didn't do much, largely because Marco took everything. But in essence, I think I really liked that wicket in Durban. Didn't like the fact that there was no crowd. Can the people in Gqeberha on the weekend just show CSA that we can be the new Durban, and you can send more test matches to us and leave those people? Because clearly they don't want to watch test cricket. Your team is literally dominating Sri Lanka. But okay, it was half a day. Maybe they were like, they already won. We'll leave them that. And that's only disappointing. But if I look at the batting, I think for me, there's a couple of question marks, but we'll ride the wave for now, right? I think Tony's 100 has got him in there, but still, defense. It's very, it gets squared up too quickly. Yes?
I'll only come back on that very slightly. You are absolutely right. I thought the techniques in this test match were very poor, but it's a world trend. It's not a South African thing. We saw it. We've seen it all around the world at the moment, where techniques are really, the Australians you can see there were terrible, equally terrible. Go, Tim.
Just say it. Just say the reason. Blame it on T20, Tim. Come on.
It's to a large extent it is T20. It is franchise cricket is killing batting techniques. Sorry, but it is.
Yeah.
I know Kevin Peterson's going to go, batting techniques don't matter. You have to have a grounding somewhere. You could have some grounding in defense before you play the shots that you employ in T20 cricket. You have to have a grounding somewhere. Otherwise, it's as if everything just falls apart.
Let's talk about that, right? Because I look at our openers and I'm like, they've got similar issues, right? It's the fact that it feels like for Aiden kind of reaches for the ball instead of necessarily waiting to play the ball under his eyes, creates the gap between bat and pad. Our friend Tony DeZorzi, he's more back foot, so he'll wait too late to make an action, and therefore he finds himself in trouble and maybe being squared up. Tristan is very attacking in the way he plays, so therefore you look at it and you're like, same thing with Aiden coming forward, might come forward a little bit too much. David Bedingham in this test match overextended himself a little bit too much, didn't wait for the ball, and he got edges. Is there a way you can fix it, or do you just sit there going, you know what, guys, play your natural game? Because that's what we've heard over the entire decade and the decade before was play your natural game. We're never asking guys to do specific tasks. We're never asking guys to, I need you to wait out the opening bowlers. I need you to get them tired, and then you can attack. It's no, play your natural game, play the way you see it. But with these players playing multiple formats, T20, ODI, and test matches, your natural game will tend to the format that you play the most. And throughout this year, we've been playing ODIs and T20s, and now we're getting to a situation where we're 120 for 7 against Sri Lanka. And the people who are playing their natural game, who are naturally defensive, are the ones lower down the order, largely because that's what's their natural game is. They're not necessarily attacking batters like the guys up the order. So it's quite interesting, Tim, to see this change in Test cricket.
There's a reason why Ben Stokes and Dean Elgar are no longer playing Test cricket. There's a reason, and it's not because of inability. Both of them could be playing Test cricket right now if they had different coaches at the helm with a slightly different approach in the way they're going. Shukri and Brendan McCallum believe in positive cricket. They believe in this positive brand, taking the game to the opposition, willing to take risks. It's a risk batting Tristan at 3. I wouldn't have done it. You wouldn't have done it. I would have gradually built it up to that position. It cannot work. Harry Brook was dropped on 18 against New Zealand. Absolutely,
he was dropped five times.
He makes it. I know.
It's effectively, Tim, it was 100 for 6. But who's counting?
He makes 100. They believe, both of them, and they're very similar in approaches. They both believe the benefits will outweigh the negatives. I still think there's a place for a Ben Stokes and a Dean Elgar. They don't. That's why they're no longer playing Test cricket.
But Tim, I'm not saying that you want to bring in defensive batters. What I'm saying is, in matches, you need to be able to ebb and flow between attack and defense. If you look at Timber's innings, started defensively, rode out the storm, then started hitting boundaries and moving through the gears. And even in that second innings with him and Tristan, you could see that contrast, right? Tristan struggled up front, but Timber was a little bit more free-flowing. Timber came back in the 40s, held off, tried to defend as much as possible, but it was there, because fundamentally you're going to have to learn to leave more balls than you play than all the other formats. So what do you do in those situations? Do you just, in your leave, it is, I'm going to still play the ball. The ball's still going to hit the bat, right? Or is it going to be a situation of, I'm going to learn to leave, which a lot of the batters are working on, just leaving the ball on length or line, which is fine. But then what happens if the ball's on line, but you don't need to hit an attacking shot? Not every shot needs to come out with a run. And that's the question I'm asking we should be asking our batters is, what's your shot where you don't need a run, you just need to stay in and wait for the next ball, right? Is it a backward defense, get in line and dot the ball down? Is it come forward and smother the ball? What is your thing, and how technically can you do it to make sure that you don't? Because when the bowler's attacking, you don't have to attack too. You can always defend. And that's my only question about that. We're just saying you can have a strike rate of 90 in Test match cricket. It's great. You don't need a strike rate of 120.
And I fully agree. My argument with, and I disagree with Bellingham on this. Tristan and Bellingham, give them the option. They will take the attacking option 9 times out of 10. Both of them. Because of the way they play. They both believe that they can. But their saving grace is their technique is good. Both of their techniques, along with Timber's, is grounded in solidity. They can do that. But they won't, because they believe it's better to put pressure on the opposition, pressure on the attack. If you give them the option, they will take the attacking option more often than not.
So, of our top 6, which guys have a very good technique to have that defensive base? You mentioned Bedingham, you mentioned Timber, you mentioned Stubbs. Is there anybody else?
Those are the 3. There is nobody else. I'm not convinced on Ryan. I'm not convinced on Tony. Aiden's a shadow of what he was. Aiden is not going to have the test career that I thought he was going to have 5 years ago. I come to accept that. I've come to accept that.
Matthew Brietzky, because he's come into the side?
Potentially, but I actually think he's a little bit too loose for me. I think he's coming to the side, but no, I think it's at the moment he's a little bit too loose. I need to see a bit more of the grinding out, the solid technique. The 3 I mentioned are the 3 that can do it in my mind. There's nobody else that can do it. Those 3 can do it.
So you're worried about our openers. So you think we'll be 10 for 2, 50 for 2, because our openers don't have the grounding and the technique. That's our weakness right now.
Against Australia, England, and India, and teams like Sri Lanka, yes, we will be 10 for 2, more than we would like to. And that's going to continue unless we change our approach. And I don't see Shukri going, you know what, boys? Let's change it a little bit.
And call Dean Alga back.
Not happening. Not happening.
Okay, cool. Couple of things happened in this test match. Van Mulder got injured. He broke one of his fingers, or sprained, or whatever it was, on his bowling hand. And we saw an interesting way to use Van Mulder. He still batted after he got hit. He came back and he did quite well. He hit a 6 and everyone thought he can bowl. He wasn't good enough to bowl. However, he got an hour and a half of rest. Vian thought he was going to get at least 3 to 4 hours. He got half the time because Marco Jansen had other ideas. And he goes for the X-ray, comes back. They diagnose that it's that. Actually, he didn't. He stopped it. He only went for the X-ray afterwards. So then what happened was Shuki then put him back in the second innings as a number 3. And he did okay. A little bit of pinch hitter, but I like that. And to a certain extent, it speaks to how good this team is and the fact that they are thinking on their feet, and the captaincy, Tim, over these past 4 days from Timber and possibly Shukri in terms of the leadership was second to none. I haven't seen a Proteas team do this in a while.
Shukri, or both of them actually together. You're right. It's important that we connect together because they do have a partnership together. They are thinking outside the box in terms of what they're doing, as you rightly pointed out, and the team selections. I've yet to see a team selection for the both of them that I've gone, yes, that's the 11 I would have gone with. I have not. I'm not saying that they've been wildly off, mad, crazy stuff, but they've been very, very different to what I would have gone. So they've both kept us on our toes. I would say when you bowl a team out of 42, you can afford to do things that are slightly outside the box. It gives you a little bit of space to try a couple of things that you wouldn't have tried if they had made 250. If they made 250, I'm not sure those things would have happened. I'm not sure we would have seen Vian batting at 3. But maybe not. We'll see.
No, but obviously it was that, right? It was get him out the game and get him to the X-ray as quickly as possible. And if Vian scored, it would have been funny if he scored a 50 and he stayed there for like an hour or 2. It would have been very interesting to see how that hand was working and if he was going to do extra damage. But it was nice to like kind of break up the idea that Timber and Tristan are coming in at 10 for 2. But this time it was like 70 for 2. But you kind of got the gist of what was going on. So Vian's out. Gerald is out too. Groin injuries, out for the entire international season, which means Matthew Brietzky comes in for Vian Mulder and a domestic bowler. That domestic bowler, his name is Kwena Mapaka. So now we're going to talk about the 4-day series. We're going to talk about what Kwena did to the Warriors. But there was another man in that game who's been doing this since the franchise system has started. But yet again, he keeps on getting overlooked. And this is not a fight for Bear Swanepoel. It's not a case for Bear Swanepoel. It's just that factually, he has been overlooked. He's been the number one wicket taker since the franchise system has started. However, well, not the franchise, the provincial system since COVID has started. However, he has not earned a Proteas call-up as yet. Is this A, Shuki punishing him for not going to not choosing SA20 or not going to New Zealand? Or is it B, he actually doesn't fit into the side in terms of what we need, right? And maybe the thing with South Africa, and you can see it with England, right? They're trying to pick guys who can bowl quicker. Pace. That's my idea of why Bear Swanepoel's not there. Nothing else. I just think having a guy bowling 130 to 135 in international cricket doesn't work. And why? We saw that when we took the team to New Zealand. It just didn't work. Tim, what say you?
England's just picked Pearson High alumni from PE, Quebec, Biden Cass. Biden Cass this last season was averaging 101 with the ball. 101 in 4-day cricket this season. He has, the last time he took a 5-wicket haul was 3.5 years ago. 3.5 years ago. So England have gone and they've done all their data, they've looked at all their things. Biden Cass statistically is nowhere. Biden Cass statistically for 4-day cricket for the longer format is absolutely nowhere. But they saw something. They saw something in his ability. What is he going to do? And on his debut against New Zealand, gets 5 wickets. And arguably from, I didn't see it myself, but arguably from the English journalists, their best bowler. It's a similar thing with the Kwena Mapaka situation. Kwena Mapaka, we have said for months now that he's going to play for South Africa. And touch wood, he's going to have a very, very fruitful career as a Protea fast bowler. Bear Swanepoel isn't quick enough for Test cricket, and that is just a fact. He has got 90 wickets since I restructured, 90 wickets at an age of 16. By any metric, that is insane numbers. It's insane numbers. A closer inspection on him, he becomes less and less effective second, third, fourth, sixth spells. That's what happened when I saw him a couple of weeks ago against Province. That's what happened. He was unplayable as an opening bowler, got the ball moving all over the place. As soon as it became flat, it was easy to play. Easy to play. So that's why you need to look beyond the numbers. As good as they are, you look beyond the numbers. And if we're honest, he could play Test cricket, but he is not going to be a like for like for Gerald. Gerald is going to open the bowling, probably, or would have opened the bowling or first change. Bear Swanepoel would not have done that in a Proteas outfit. That's the fact. You need somebody who's going to be a similar role to Gerald. He's going to shake things up. Kwena Mapaka is going to do that. We'll talk about the 4-day competition. He did it this last weekend. He is going to be sensational. I have no doubt. So it makes sense that you need to look beyond the numbers, as impressive as they are for Bear Swanepoel.
Changes for Thursday?
The only question is, do you pick? So obviously, Kwena comes in, I think. The only question is, did you go Kwena? Yeah. I think
Ben Patterson's still there.
I know. And as soon as I say Pato, people will be going, but he's the same pace as Bayes. But he's far more intelligent, and he has ability to bowl on flat wickets, which we saw in New Zealand. He had ability to bowl on those flat wickets.
And Bangladesh.
So he has that ability. It's a toss-up. I want to see Grenner. Let's put it that way. I want to see Grenner for Gerald. That's what I want to see.
And then who comes in for Vian?
I don't think you need a second spinner. I really don't. I love Sen. We love Sen on the podcast. I don't think you need a second spinner. So Matthew comes in for me if you're going to go.
Not Ryan.
Way. Oh, Ryan. Yes, of course, Ryan. No, Ryan comes in. Sorry, Matthew. Sorry. Ryan comes in.
Yeah, so I think I have the same with you. Ryan comes in as an extra batter, 7. And then if I need a second spinner, if Sri Lanka like 300 for 4, Aiden can bowl, guys. And Tristan can bowl. But I'm happy. The only problem obviously is if one of your seamers gets injured, then you're in trouble. But it's a risk we're going to have to take. But from a bowling perspective, I think I'm picking Gwena. Pace is pace, guys. And I see Dane, and I wouldn't be mad. But the question for me is, give me the X factor, even at first change. And that's what he will be, right? It'll be Kagiso and Gerald, and then it'll be Gwena as first change. And it's also the left arm seamer. Oh, Marco's there. So it's Marco, Kagiso, and Gwena. So Marco and Kagiso open up, and then Gwena come in. Probably the first time we've got 2 left arm seamers in a test side in a while. I think Nandra and Marco played together one time. But yeah, I'm excited. The kids got it. Anyway.
It's got everything.
Okay, let's move on to the other national team, the women's team. The Proteas women are taking on England. They've played 3 T20s. They're going to play 3 ODIs, and then they're going to play 1 test match. And South Africa have been clean swept in the T20s. They lost by 4 wickets in East London. They lost by 36 runs after England set 204 in Benoni. That game was horrible to watch across all things. And then they got beaten by 9 wickets because South Africa got restricted to 124 and England got there with 8 overs to spare. Tim, it's a shambles. I don't know what's going on. I know there are players who coming back from Big Bash and some players being rested and everything else. But from an effort perspective, it doesn't look like the team that played at the World Cup. It looks like that team that played at the World Cup got to South Africa and forgot how to play cricket. And my only question is, from a coaching perspective and a growth perspective, what was this series about? Was it not going to be building on the success of the World Cup? And more people are now watching the game, but now it feels like we've gone back to where we were. Similar to the last World Cup when we hosted at home. You get a situation like that, and then it's like, okay, no, Cinderella left the ball. It's after 12 o'clock. Now we're all pumpkins. And that's essentially what the women were doing. It's all pumpkins. Bowling was horrible. Fielding was unbelievably bad. And then the batting was like, okay, so what are we trying to do here? And I don't think there's any good thing that I can say about this team to be like, no. And to a certain extent, it makes sense that Enoch is hiring a new coach because, quite frankly, we need a change up. Like, this thing can't continue. We can't be living on the false dawn of the World Cup. And then when we play bilateral series, we look like a shell of ourselves in the series that you can win. T20 is nice because it's shorter. You know, you can put England under pressure and you can win a game like we saw at the World Cup. ODIs, we're getting smacked. Like, there's nothing. I'm the eternal optimist, but we're gonna get hammered Wednesday in Kimberley. I'd be surprised if they didn't score 350 with the way England are batting and the way we're bowling. Aya's not around. Marazan's rested, and that's the thing about this team. They lack depth. The moment you start looking to the bench, you're that coach who looks to your bench and you're like, actually, guys, how long can you guys continue? Because we've got nothing here. And respectfully. But I don't know. We take 5 steps forward and then 7 back. That's what we've been doing now. And this is 7 steps backwards, Tim. Like I literally, I'm watching to watch England. I'm not watching to watch the Proteas women because I sit there going, we don't have a plan. Enoch sat here a month ago. He's like, we've got a plan. We're in good hands. We have no depth at the senior national level. Nondumiso Shangase shouldn't be playing. Elise Marie Marks is okay, but we need batters. And to a certain extent, I don't know what's going on. I'm lost.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate a bit. The players were told that Dylan du Preez was no longer going to be the coach after the T20 series.
Mm-hmm.
The players respond to that and go, we like his approach. We know this attacking approach is a work in progress and it's not coming together as we would like, but we like it. We like the change. We like the change from Hilton. We are enjoying it. To me, prior to the T20 series, the camp looked a very happy and settled camp. We were not hearing things about, but they're writing letters to CSA and saying they need to change, and this one wants to quit, and that one wants to play franchises. Everyone's on the surface, to me, seemed happy. They now get told that Dylan is no longer going to be the coach and Mandla's going to take over. I think potentially that's played a part in their poor performances. Their poor performances in the T20 series have been shocking. There is no other way of saying it. It's been a very poor performance. But I do wonder if that has played a part because they're just sort of finding some grounding under Dylan du Preez's approach, and now they have to start all over again. The new coach with a new approach, and they don't know where their place is in the side, and that's going to take time. And look, you're going to say professional cricketers that shouldn't affect you. I know you are, and you're right. It shouldn't. It shouldn't on the surface, but I do feel subconsciously it makes a change. So your performances drops just a little bit, and then when it drops a little bit, it becomes very, very difficult to bring it up again. But I certainly agree that what we saw in the T20 series cannot stand. That cannot be a level of performance for a Proteas women's side under any coach. It just cannot stand. It has been
horrible.
Absolute shambles. Absolute shambles. That 200 score, that fielding display, was the complete opposite in every single way to the Australian game where we beat Australia in the World Cup.
Yes.
It was the complete and utter opposite, and to a large extent, the same players, bar Mauzan Cup and yes. It was, to see that was from the same team was really, really sad.
No, my issue is this, right? It's yes, the fielding was just deplorable. It was ridiculous. Like, I'm sitting there going, you guys are professionals. Now, come on, right? And then everyone's bowling half trackers. Like, what is this? Like, I'm sitting here going, guys, what's going on? And here's the other thing, right? If Elise Marie Marks is a spin bowler, why do you need Nondumiso Shangase in the side? If Nondu's not going to bowl or going to bowl one over, what's the point in having her there? Her batting has improved, but it's not at the level that you need for the Proteas. Like, that baffled me, right? And you can say I'm picking on Nondu, but everyone else couldn't bat. So now Elise needs to leave the team. I'm sorry. Like, it's now done. We're finished. She chooses to bowl in the World Cup, but now because England are here, no, we're not bowling. I don't know what's going on with the side. Like, I really don't. Right? We've given Faye a chance. She's gotten some really nice runs here, but at the end of the day, we're not getting there. Our best batter is Nadine de Klerk right now. It's ridiculous.
And she's batting way too low. Way too low. When Moazan isn't in the team, Nadine is the future. Nadine is the Moazan of the young Moazan. That's who she is. That's who she needs to be. There is no way that she can be batting as low as she is at the moment. It makes absolutely no sense. No sense at all. Utilize her strengths.
And for me on the Mandla point, right? It's a couple of things, right? As you say, they're professionals. I get that, and I'd say that all the time. You're not children. They're not children. I can't treat you. I can't every time you don't like a coach for being hard-handed, or you do like a coach. We can't pander to your wills. CSA pays you. And they pay you to work under whoever coach needs to be there. If this is what you're going to be when Mandla comes in and you're not giving him a fair shake, then what's the point? Unfortunately, Dylan couldn't cut it. I'm sorry. Right? CSA thought that he couldn't cut it. And that's not on you. It's not on the players. Right? You need to be the best for whatever it is. The fact that we still need Marizan to play in the side. The fact that we still need Aya to make our bowling very viable because Tumi is still too slow. I understand we just can't bowl consistently. Our spin bowler, Mlaba, seemingly left the UAE and left all the bowling talents there. Nondu hasn't improved from a bowling perspective because she's still bowling off trackers. At least Marie Marks, you're opening up with a spin bowler because obviously you're afraid of England and you're trying to play different players, and we get that, but still doesn't move much. Annery Dirksen isn't a bowler. So you've got a team of guys who are part-time bowlers and full-time batters. And I'm seeing part-time bowler and part-time batter in this entire side. The people you used to rely on, Sinelis, can't be relied on anymore. Chloe Tran can't be relied on anymore. The only problem is they're going to still get a salary and are still getting paid because we don't have anybody else in the hunt. For instance, Faye Cowling from the Lions, fast bowler. She should be playing in the side. But yet, she's in India for the under-19s. When she leaves the under-19s, she must come into the side directly. She can bat, she can bowl, and she can bowl fast. So, but she's not the only fast bowler in the side who's faster than Ayanda Hlubi, who's faster than Dumisi Kukune. Pick those players. I don't understand how we're still picking, because to me, this is Hilton 2.0 with a nice enough coach. That's all it is, which is why I am happy for Mandla to come into the side. Congratulations to Mandla. He's got a tough job on his hands, but we need to work on the depth of women's cricket, and we need someone to be able to scout the entirety of the Hollywood Bets Pro 20, Pro 50, and come back to us and say, these are the people we're seeing. Because the people we see on Saturday and Sunday playing 50 over and 20 over cricket aren't being recognized. We're still picking on names. We're not picking on ability. And which is why, if I was Mandla, the first thing I'd say is, screw the WBBL, screw the 100. If you want to go do that, go leave your contract at the door. I need you to go play domestic cricket. Every Protea needs to go back and play domestic cricket, and let's see who can make it, right? And I do think some of the under-19s are actually good enough to play in this side. Batting-wise, bowling-wise, even wicket-keeping-wise. And I'm not picking on Sinala. Sinala's actually playing well. She's batting well, and she should be batting higher. But fundamentally, the issue with this team is that we're back again to that issue of senior players complaining about coaches instead of senior players focusing on their job. Suneli should have bowled in the series. She did not. Why not? She's good enough to bowl at the World Cup, but she can't bowl in this series. What is going on? Why are we allowing senior players to dictate how this team goes, to dictate how they feel about a coaching hire? We're not hiring the coach for you. We're hiring a coach for the setup, which is 50 plus, 60 plus women in the system trying to make it to the Proteas. But anyway, that's it. Pretty much all I'm going to say about this.
I'm just going to play devil's advocate briefly, as I know we're kind of short in time. What record does Mandla have with women's cricket? That's my only argument would be. Denisha Devnarayan would be my appointment. And I said that prior to Dylan Dupre getting the interim job. Dylan Devnarayan understands the women's game better than anyone in this country, as far as I'm concerned. After the World Cup, she would be getting my job. England tried Matthew Mott for the national women's team, from the Australian women's team. It was a disaster. I hope it's not a disaster with Mandla. I hope it isn't. I'm just saying the women's game is very different to the men's. That's all.
Tim, so in the end, we wish Mandla all the best. I do hope the Proteas women just, enjoy their stint with them. The part of growing is about learning from different types of people and in different ways. So I understand Mandla hasn't been in the women's game, but he's been coaching cricket, and so shouldn't be too far for him. But anyway, moving on to our last segment of the show, which is the domestic cricket, the 4-day series, which is underway, and the Lions just keep on winning, Tim. They keep on winning in the 4-day series. Okay. What do I need to add? Give me. Oh, yes, we've got Division 1 results. So we had 3 games in Division 1 this week. The Dolphins took on the Knights in Bloem, and it was a really interesting affair where the Dolphins scored 570 for 9. And my question was, how do you win from there? And the Dolphins went on to prove me wrong in terms of winning from there. In 4-day cricket, you shouldn't be wanting to put anything above 500 because you might find yourself in a situation where you might end up in a draw. But they managed to win by like 19 runs or something weird like that, which is really, really awesome. And Tabang Ditole scoring 100. He was on our show for the Dolphins. Lesego Sinokwane also scoring 100. He's been put up in the Proteas questions and comments around the next Black African batter. He also scored a 61 in the second innings. Slade Van Staden, he's a former youth cricketer, but yeah, he's been flirting with the USA, Tim, so we know about Slade. 111 there, and Jacques Snyman scoring 81 and 54 for the Knights. Bryce Parsons scored 118, and Ramesh Pillay, an S-19 talent from the last World Cup, he scored 118 he scored 81. And then Andile Semalani scoring 50 not out. Good to see him showing this progress in 4-day cricket after getting his T20 international debut. And Prenelin Subryan taking 5 for 68. Tim, the Dolphins put up 570. Did you think they were going to win this game?
Only because, only because it was the Knights. I thought, unless it rains, they're going to get over the line. That's no disservice to the Knights. They're just not quite, they're not quite getting it right. I think at the end of the day, JP Trichard deserves a lot of credit because he's made them competitive. They've been competitive for this 4-day series, but they just find themselves short when it comes to the results. So I wasn't as concerned with the amount of runs Dolphins scored in terms of they're not going to have enough time to get the win, even when the Knights made it very, very difficult at the end. I don't know if you saw the tail. Punky saw Dane Pete, Matthew Pollard, 9, 10, 11. They batted for a good couple of hours. They really grounded out. They made Dolphins work for the win. But what is pleasing for me is this is the 11 going forward that Quinton Friend should go with. I think he's finding the 11 a little bit difficult, and I think he's made mistakes in terms of team selection. This is the one that you go with. You've got that middle order of Van Staden, Bryce Parsons, Jason Smith, Ramesh Pillay, and Simalani. That's the future of Dolphins cricket there, right there. Those guys there, outside of Jason Smith, are all under 25. That's the future. That's where those guys should be playing week in, week out, every single game.
What about Marcus Ackerman in that middle order? You've left him.
Well, you make a decision in terms of what you do is you take John Spots out. John Spots is coming to the end. So you take John out and put in Marcus. Sibolani and Pele can bowl. They both are, for me, they are huge talents for me. So what you do is you bring in Marcus for John, and you can shift the batting order a little bit if you like. So you can have Slade at 3, Marcus 4, Bryce 5, and you can move around with that batting 11, so to speak.
There's quite a few players who scored 100 in this game. Bryce Parsons, Slade van Staden, Lesego Senekwane. Do we need to hype them up and say this is the future, or do we just write this off and say they're probably playing not the best bowling attacks that we have in the competition, right? Because Senekwane is scoring another 100. Slade scored his first, and Bryce is now stepping into his own. But again, it's 100 amongst in a very long time.
Yeah, look, so I think we can isolate them all. Bryce, we know Bryce's talent. We know that the talent is there. It's about finding that consistency. I think the more he plays, the more consistent he will get. I think Slade is a huge talent. I really, really do. What's been unfortunate for him is he hasn't found consistency in the 11. He hasn't played every week because of the Marcus Ackerman, basically. Because of Marcus Ackerman. But that's a huge plus for him. Get his debut 100, fantastic innings. And then, I think it was last week, I said, let's see Senekwane double up. Okay, they scored the 200. That's fantastic. Let's see him do it again. What did he do this week? He made 100 and he made a 50 in the second innings. That's a statement. That's a statement for me. That is a statement against what was a good performance of the Dolphins. This was their best performance in the full-day competition, in my opinion, by a distance. Pavlon and Kukulekele were bowling excellently. So his runs in both innings are something to take note of going forward to SA emerging, Proteas. It's something to take note of. He's scoring now in consistent games. That's huge.
Yeah,
a huge
surely
step for him.
it's someone that Shukri can't look over. But the bare Swanepoel of it all is sitting around with everyone. There's always going to be something, but we don't know. Let's see if Lesego gets into the next A team and the like. Moving on to the next game. The Dolphins finally got a win, right? So they finally got a win. Looking to the next game, to a team that needed a win and somehow had the Lions in trouble again. However, as I'll say it again, teams find a way to give the Lions a win. And it happened here again. The Lions, 291 play and 214 for 8 declared, beat the Warriors 94 all out and 211. It was the Kwena Mapaka show. It was the Luto Sipamla show, but mostly the Kwena Mapaka show because we've seen Luto Sipamla. Kwena 3 for 22, 3 for 54, Luto 4 for 42. Dom Hendricks 86 or 89 of 200. Bjorn Fortuin scoring another 50 or 59. He must be like Tashukri. I can also bat like Senran Mutusami. Like, honestly, put me back into the Proteas setup. Swanepoel started 5 for 61. They had the Lions in trouble. Jordan Hanman 67 of 71 in that second innings. And just to confirm to you the position that they had the Lions in, they had the Lions 196 for 6. and Bjorn Fortuin, Tsepo Moreki, Cody Yusuf, and Lutusu Pamla, who are the tail, put on another 100 runs for 4 wickets. So, yeah, had us in trouble again, but the Lions sneak out. But the more important thing was Gwena had them in all sorts in that first innings, Tim.
It was quite a Mapaka show. Like we've given enough plaudits to Bjorn. His 50 in the first innings got you guys to that 290, which was at the end of the day very, very important. But this was quite a Mapaka show. He was, if you go back to the Cricket South Africa highlights of the game, go to day 2, and you just watch Gwena Parker spell. Just watch his opening 5-6 overs, and you tell me, nah, this boy's not good enough for Test cricket. Just go and watch that. Go and watch that spell. That was unreal. He was sensational. The delivery to get rid of Matthew de Villiers in swinging Yorker, unplayable. Would have got most batsmen out. He had people in all sorts of bother. ball flying off good length, pace, bounce, injuring Warriors players, hitting them in the arm, hitting them in the shoulder. And that's why they were out for 94. It was a sight to see. It really was. I fully admit I'm conflicted as a Province boy, but you got to admire the talent, and that was an exceptional spell of bowling. And the difference between the two sides, really, because he did it again in the second innings.
Yeah, and to a certain extent, it's why he's in the Proteas setup and why he should be starting. I unleash a raw talent like that. It just works for him because there's injuries. Obviously, Nandre Berger's out, Kutsia's out, and Lungi's in his strength and conditioning. So you kind of have a situation where why not? They haven't seen him. They'll have YouTube clips of him and some SuperSport footage of Gwena Mpaka's at Sri Lanka. But it's interesting. Yeah, I like it. I was so impressed by him. And yeah, every time he plays domestic cricket, he proves to me that he needs to be at that level up. Maybe even a bench player for the Proteas at this point in time, which is why he should be still in domestic. But if you give him a start, I wouldn't be like, no, this kid's new. But it'll be interesting to see. Test cricket's a different beast to first class cricket, so we'll see how he does if he does get a start on Thursday. That'd be interesting. That'd be wild. Kagiso and Gwena, my word. Okay. Yes, Poland and Northwest played to a draw, and as I said, it makes no sense to score more than 500 runs in 4-day cricket if you want to win a game. But Poland doesn't want to win games. They are more than happy to let the game saunter along with their batters. Grant Wilson scored 240 of 317. He got injured, got replaced by Blade Capel, who scored 57, not out. Gavin Kaplan scored 166. Avim Gijima 81. Matthew Kleinfeld 133, and that is all the batters for Poland for that 594. Lisiba Ngwepe scoring 118 and Ruan de Swart scoring 65 for Northwest, who got to 458. And Sean von Berg took him 4 for 106, 500 first-class wickets. Tim, explain to me. It doesn't make sense. How do you want to score 600 runs in a 4-day game? Why? Why would you want to do that?
There was never going to be a result in this match from ball one. It was the deadest pitch I have seen in a long time. It was absolutely dead. Flat. It was the flattest, greatest batting paradise in South African cricket history. Honestly, it was a feather bed. If they had declared at 400, say, then Northwest would have made 400. They would have batted again and made 350. And Northwest would have been 200 for 2 declare. And it just would have... They may have batted 2 innings each, but it still would have been a draw. There was no chance of a result in this game. It was a tired pitch, a real tired. But saying that, Grant Rulofson and Gavin Kaplan still put on 390-run partnership. You've still got to give credit to that. You've still got to say, you know what? It might be flat, but you did the business. Peter Milan made naught on this pitch.
I get a flat pitch, but you've got Sean van Berg. Surely you should be like, have one of the best spinning talents in the country. So why not unleash him and give him a chance to win you the game? Because the way I see it, right, once you go past 100 overs, you get no points for getting to whatever score you get to, right? Unless if it's for you to set up the win. And you need to give yourself a chance to win the game, regardless of how flat the pitch is, right? You managed to bowl out the Northwest for 450, fine, great, well done. But that doesn't help you. The 590 does not help you at all. And I get individual accolades, I get the records, but at least show us you want to win games. Try something, right? But you can't just be like, I'm going to, like, on day one, we realized it was flat, so we decided to bat for 2 full days. Like, what type of cricket is that? Doesn't make sense to me, right? Shukri's not going to look at you and be like, oh, wow, you scored 240.
Yeah.
The 240 is going to be great, but what you need as Boland is to win games, to get away from the bottom of the log. But what you've just done is kept you there. So you lose 0 points for the win, and you're sitting there because you're just the king of draws. And it's like Northwest as well, 4 draws in a row. But obviously they were the ones bowling first, so I can't shout on them that much. But honestly, guys, 570 and 590.
I get it, and you make valid points. And look, as we go into the Division 2, I'm saying there was no chance of a result. When we get to Division 2, I will explain. But there was a result that was 99% certain, and the team lost. I don't know how they lost. But anyway, so in theory, you're right. You're absolutely right. They make 400, you declare. I just don't think at that pitch, I don't think anybody was going to get anywhere. I really don't. If they had 3 Sean van Bergs, so they had Keith Dutton and Clinton Stearman and 3 Sean van Bergs, maybe they had 1. That was it. You can't ask them.
Okay, that's Division 1's. Yeah.
Let's give Grant his credit. Grant scored the highest first-class score for a ball-on player in the history in 4-day cricket. So let's just put that there. Congrats, Grant.
Well done, Grant. Well done. Congratulations. But yeah, to the captain of Boyland, I hope it's not Grant. But I think it's the other one, Malan, Peter. Nah, bro. 590 is just horrible. It doesn't, like, you're just telling me you don't want to win games. Like, I get the idea of not losing, but you're not going to lose if you put up 450. You won't. But anyway, y'all went 140 more runs. So when you get relegated, we'll look at this game and say, oh, wow, everyone broke records, but we didn't win. Anyway, let's look at the log for the CSA 4-day series. The Lions sitting on top, 4 games, 3 wins, 1 draw, 83 points. The Dragons with 3 draws in their 4 games. They lost the other match, 50 points. The Knights 1-2-1 with 49 points. Boland in 4th, 1-1-1. It could have been a 2-1-0, but okay. They like to bat for 2 days. Momentum Multiplied Titans in 5th, 46 points. Hollywood Bets Dolphins in 6th, 44 points, and Western Province in 7th with 39 points. And the team at the bottom, no wins yet, but 2 draws, is the Daffabet Warriors. That should be very worrying for Robbie P with 3 games to go. So that is it. Let's move to Division 2, Tim. Northern Cape and the Tuskers fought it out, and the Heat came out to win by 19 runs. Oh, wow. Being bowled out for 47.
Yes, correct.
47.
Correct.
Ernest
Correct.
Kim had
Correct.
a show. And Mpho and Tim had a show. The 2 spinners just taking all the wickets in that second innings and losing by 19 runs with a target
Of 67.
I'm trying to do quick maths now. Of 68. 67. And they lost by 19 runs. Massive, massive loss for the Tuskers, who the Heat now bring themselves into the equation for promotion and also to win the 4-day series. Ruan Hasbrook scoring 101 for the Heat. Sean Whitehead taking 645 for the Tuskers. Kagiso Rapulana 142. Ben Compton 85 in that 362. Mpho Ntuli taking 6 for 105 and 5 for 17 in that second innings. And Ernest Kim 5 for 28. Tim, what did Kim and Ntuli do to the Tuskers?
So honestly, this is just crazy. I had a whole monologue for this week about what good work the Tuskers have been doing, about what a good coach Albert Alner was, about how they had turned the tables from last year's fiasco, which we have gone into in previous shows, so I won't repeat them. They needed 67 with 10 wickets at hand at the start of day 4. The pitch was taking turn. And the dismissals of Rapulana and Ben Compton, who made runs in the first innings, you could say very good bowling. Caught a short leg slip. Good dismissals, good bowling. But it was still a 67. It was 67. It wasn't a Bunsen burner. It was just taking a normal pace and bounce. And nobody in that team said, you know what, lads, let's calm it down. You know what, lads, let's bat for 10 minutes. Let's block for 10 minutes and see where we are and reevaluate. It was the most amazing piece of choke I have seen in a long, long time. I didn't. What, you've got 67 runs to score with 10 wickets at hand. Look, Thule in particular, I think Thule bowled better than Ernest Kemp. Look, Ernest Kemp is a opening batter. Thule was very accurate, so it was difficult to get away. I get that. It was difficult to get away, and he was getting nice bats. But in no way or shape or any form should you be bowled out for 47 on that pitch. It should never, ever, ever have happened. And they had players in there with a bit of experience. They had players in there in their 11 to say, you know what, let's just rein it in a little bit. It was astonishing. I kept waiting for the Tuskers to go, we're table toppers. We'll get there. We might be 5 down, might be 6 down, but we'll get over the line. We'll get over the line. I'm still
It just
astounded.
never happened.
It never happened. It never happened for them.
Oh well, they lost.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool. On the other game, the Linyati didn't lose the game, but they didn't win. So they drew. So they break their streak of like 8 losses or 7 losses. And then now they drew to the Mpumalanga Rhinos, 343 plays, 220, 207 for 3 declared, plays 145. Jason Niemand, 113 and 79 in both innings for the Iñati. Marco Murray for the Iñati as well with an 86. Jerome Bossa, same with a 53. John Henriksen, 5 for 55 from Mpumalanga. Mohammed Mayet as well, scoring 58 off of 173. Benjamin Van Niekerk also scoring 53 and 57 in both innings. And Jade de Klerk taking 9 wickets in the match, 6 in the first innings and 3 in the second. It was a draw, Tim. The Iñati can finally say that they've got some points this season.
They wouldn't have had the points if day one wasn't washed out.
Oh.
I promise you that. In the position that Mpumalanga were in, Iñati would have lost the game. They're very, very fortunate that day one was washed out. Mpumalanga would have put a better side all round, really. Bat and ball. But as you say, they stopped the rot somehow with a bit of assistance. But at least
now we just need W's. Yeah. Okay, let's look at the Division 2 log. You've got the Tuskers at the top, even after that loss, with 60 points. Northern Cape Heat on 55 points. The Garden Route Badgers in third with 28 points. The Iñati in fourth with 24 points. The Impalas with 23 points, just shy of the Iñati. The Rhinos with 20 points. And the Eastern Storm, 12 points at the bottom. Coach Jeff, I don't know what's going on with your team, but yeah, we need you to pick up the socks or pick something up. Anyway, fixtures for this week for Division 1 on Friday, we've got Western Province against the Knights at Newlands. So that should be an interesting one. And then in Division 2, we've got 2 matches. The Badgers play the Impalas and the Iñati play the Storm. So, both teams who need a win. The Iñati versus the Storm, the battle of the basement dwellers, the no-win kings. But we'll see who's going to come out with a win, unless both teams want to draw. And seemingly the way South African domestic cricket goes, nobody wants to lose, but everybody wants to win. But they don't want to put it on the line for the chance of winning anything. Okay, finally, Tim, your teams of the week, I'm going to put them up right now. You went with Grant Williamson for that 240, Lesego Senokwane for that 100 to open, Gavin Kaplan, Lisiba Ngwepe, Slade Van Staden makes his debut into your list, so does Bryce Parsons. Bjorn Fortuin is a staple on this list for you, Tim. Bear Swanepoel finally makes it on. Sean van Berg has also been a staple for this team, so too has Akuhle Cele. But then you have the superstar. Might be the first and last time he makes it onto your Division 1 team of the week. It's the king himself, Kwena Mapaka.
Yeah, look, we've touched on the various players individually already. Just Kwena Mapaka, outstanding. Just an incredible talent. And I'm glad CSA have managed him as well as they have. Because when he's played, he's been fresh, he's been ready, he's been all action, he's been on top of it, he's been quick, he's been exactly what you want. So that's been most impressive.
Yeah. Cool. On to Division 2. Kagiso Rapulana and Ben Compton open for the Tuskers who can't win a game or who can't close out 68 runs in the second innings. Rowan Haasbroek from the Heat gets a call up. Mohammed Mayet of Mpumalanga comes in. Jason Niemand with his 100 from the Iñati. Benjamin Van Niekerk of Mpumalanga also with his 53. Ernest Kemp after the damage he did to the Tuskers with 8 wickets in the match. And you've got Sean Gilson and Sean Whitehead of the Badgers. Yeah? Okay.
No, Inland. No?
Okay. The Tuskers. The Tuskers.
Tuskers.
Sorry.
Tuskers.
To apologize for the colouring. And then Jade de Klerk from the Iñati and Tepon Tulio after taking 11 wickets. Mohammed Mayet and Ben Van Niekerk. Everyone else is on this list before, but Mo Mayet, actually that middle order, Mo Mayet, Jason Niemand, and Benjamin Van Niekerk, Tim. Are they exciting prospects or are they just great guys for Mpumalanga?
So Jason Newman, we know he's been around a long time. Wasn't the 19 setup, if my memory is correct. Captain of the Inyati. And Mohamed Myers and Benjamin Van Niekerk. I'm glad I've got some Mpumalanga players on here because they've had a tough season. Not necessarily playing badly, but that they're not quite getting the levels that they were perhaps last season or the season before. So just glad for them. They're both, especially Benjamin. Benjamin is for me is the brighter star, if you like. Wicketkeeper batsman. You could see him play Division 1 in white ball cricket. You could sneak him in a Boland or something like that, or a Knights. He's one of those guys that's not quite good enough to be consistent Division 1 player, but is, in my opinion, a little bit too good for Division 2. That in between, if you like. So yeah, he'd be my one that was. If you want to keep an eye on somebody, he'd be my guy to keep an eye out for.
Okay, cool. And yeah, that brings us to the end of our show, Tim. Thank you very much. Good luck to everyone. Well done to everyone who made it to a team of the week. It's an important team of the week. It's even more important than the Proteas. And then good luck to the Proteas in playing Sri Lanka later in the week. And then the Proteas women in playing England on Wednesday, the start of the ODI series. Hopefully, we'll get a better performance than what we got in the T20s because, again, you're trying to win fans over. At least show us some heart. Yes, they're better than you. We know that. But if you are fighting, we will fight with you. But anyway, outside of that, enjoy your week, and we'll be back next week probably for the final show of the year before the summer, or we might even continue with shows in the summer. I don't know. But yeah, we'll be back next week. And outside of that, enjoy the cricket, the domestic cricket, the international cricket, and any other cricket that you can find. Forget about what's happening in Australia. But it's important because we actually need Australia to do something. We need them to beat India. We actually don't need them, but it'd be nice if Australia did something. But I don't know if Tim wants to face India or Australia in the World Test Championship final.
Australia. Definitely Australia.
Exactly.
Definitely
yeah.
Australia.
So
Definitely.
we just need Australia to, buck up in the pink ODI and do something.
Yeah.
But outside of that, it's goodbye and le sale kakakiso.